We've learned that students coming out of high school now and going into college are not equipped with the right skills and competencies to fill the jobs that are available in Colorado. So our work to better create performance tasks and industry-aligned capstone projects is to help students be prepared for the future of work in Colorado.
One of the things that's always mind-blowing to think about is that the students that are graduating now, 70% of the jobs that they will go into don't even exist yet.
We've seen a gap in readiness out of the school systems, whether it is post-secondary, the high school levels.
You can't assume that you know what the answer is because of something that you did 20, 30, 40 years ago. Our industry has changed tremendously.
Our educators are working on developing industry-aligned capstone projects where we're looking and working with industry partners to create unique opportunities for students to gain a better understanding of what the future of work is and to also develop those skills that are necessary in multiple industries across Colorado.
So I would really encourage folks to define success first as a community. What is your shared vision for what a career-ready graduate would look like? What are the knowledge, skills, disposition, character elements that you really believe you want to make sure everyone who graduates from high school X has in mind and is en route to continue to develop? If you do that, then it's much easier to figure out the recipe, the roadmap, whatever metaphor you want to get there.
And so really making sure that students are prepared with the skills like adaptability, critical thinking, problem solving to be ready for whatever may come is important, but also making sure that education is really oriented and embedded in how they play a role in their local and statewide and even national economies.
Some of the big takeaways I've had are that students don't have soft skills. So when you go in and you ask, companies, what is it that people are lacking when you hire them? It's simple things like communication, written, verbally, having a work ethic, being like self-motivated to do things. We need students or workers with soft skills. We can teach them the technical stuff once they're here if they have the work ethic and skills to come in to learn.
If we don't work together with educators, with business, with government to make sure that the youth of today have got the right skills in place to be successful and future leaders in the workforce of tomorrow, I think a huge amount is at stake.
In education, we like to talk about this idea of understanding by design or backward mapping. You can't achieve your goals unless you're clear about what success looks like, but you really have got to have that shared vision and the shared buy-in. People are excited about this, they want to support, and they're willing to change some of their practices to get there.
We recognize that oftentimes traditional experiences of learning knowledge and skills don't give them the opportunity that they need to really flourish and practice those particular skills.
So there's been a lot of work in the last, I'd say 15 to 20 years around deeper learning and performance-based learning and project-based learning rather. But it has tended to focus more on what the project is. And those usually being really engaging hands-on tasks and less about how a teacher would design one to be really effective. And by effective, I mean not just that kids are engaged in and hands-on, but their minds are on or their heads are on, as folks say, and they're involved in sort of deep, sustained inquiry and doing so in ways that achieve key purposeful learning goals.
So the way that project-based learning and I think these task and performance projects can really be helpful is when students are actually working together to solve the problem, because there's so much that happens in that dynamic.
We need to try to move out of the traditional education that you have the teacher lecturing and you listen to the teacher and you do a worksheet and just you give the answer. We have to start moving into performance tasks, performance-based tasks, because the students will be able to use that in their future.
But part of the goal of this fellowship is to help educators think about those changing dynamics of industry, changing dynamics of the economy. And how do we develop capstones and projects that actually take into account those forces that are shifting, but also prepare students with those necessary skills that we know they're going to need regardless of the career path they choose.
Creating relevant performance tasks requires a partnership between the academic institution and business, specifically to provide maybe case studies and the actual business problems that organizations are facing as a basis for helping students understand how to approach, how to think about working in a business environment, what some of the challenges are. There is a growing demand for a workforce that is relevant to business. And I think the opportunity is to create a pipeline of talent from the educational institution to business, constructed in such a way that there's confidence that what comes out of the academic institution will actually succeed and flourish in the business environment. So it's incumbent upon both organizations to work together to construct the curriculum, the programs, the support mechanisms that actually facilitate that.
The advice I would give to educators who want to go deeper with project-based learning or working with industry is to think about where you already have connections with industry in your school. So are you already doing a career fair? Are you already sending students on internship opportunities? And can you tap into those companies and that industry more deeply? It's also about thinking what's in your backyard. So what are these students passing by every day that it might just be they need to see what's inside that building to understand those jobs.
Knowing where the responsibility lies, I think, is a big question, and I think it's a collaboration. I really do believe it's jointly shared, and I think it works best when all parties see that accountability and try actively to work together.
Think about this as a continuum, right? So there's no single course that's going to solve career readiness. There's no single capstone. There's no single grade level or career tech pathway. It really has to be thinking about students learning, pre-K even, K to 12, certainly into the 16 space and beyond. What are the competencies we want to develop and what do they look like over time?
If we succeed, this is about schools rethinking what their pathways are. How do capstones actually fit into those pathways? How do we get industry involved with the development of these projects? It's a larger movement about many different sectors coming together and saying, we want to prepare students. We want to make sure that students are successful, that our businesses have the employees that they need to grow and develop, but that students also are equipped so that they understand what they need and are able to develop the skills and competencies to lead those successful lives and careers.